Kia ora tātou. David, thanks very much for the introduction, and ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's great to be here at the Advantage New Zealand Petroleum Conference. If you've come from overseas, just can I give you one message, and that is please spend lots of money. We need all the economic support we can get, so if you're out there doing that. Also, if you decide to bunk a session, I'm sure you won't in your 3 days, let me assure you the fishing apparently is pretty good out the front. The golf courses are plentiful and there's plenty of places to go. So hopefully you'll have a nice time while you're here in New Zealand enjoying the very best that we have to offer. Let me start by saying maybe the blindly obvious to a lot of people that New Zealand has an abundance of natural resources. We are ranked 8th in the world for overall natural capital. We have fertile soils, immense oceans, and rich oil, gas, and mineral deposits. This resource base is a significant source of wealth and competitive advantage for New Zealand. It's also an integral part of our national identity. Making the most of the opportunities presented by our resource base is an important part of my government's plan to build a more productive and competitive economy. Through our business growth agenda, we're arming businesses with the tools that you need while balancing the responsibility we have to protect our environment for the next generation of Kiwis. Ultimately, we see investment as crucial for both growth and prosperity. The truth is, you only get jobs and growth in an economy when people invest money at their own risk in setting up a business or expanding their existing operations. So the business growth agenda is our program that will support businesses in New Zealand to do a few things: to invest, to grow, to create more jobs, and to contribute to New Zealand's future economic successes. One of the 6 pillars of the business growth agenda focuses solely on natural resources. We've set out how the government plans to improve the way we use and manage our precious resource base. At the same time, we encourage businesses to find ways of becoming more innovative to get the best results for both the economy and, of course, for the environment. We welcome investment from overseas to support this, and we encourage you to consider New Zealand as a stable and secure place to invest and to do business. As I mentioned already, we are a country that places a high value on our natural resources. I think we can all agree that we have a responsibility to future generations to develop and use our natural resources wisely. We also have a responsibility to this generation to utilise our resources to build strong and sustainable economic growth. Through the business growth agenda, the government is encouraging environmentally responsible development and efficient use of energy and mineral resources. To give you a bit of a sense of where things currently stand at the moment, last year oil exports earned this country $1.8 billion, making this our 4th largest merchandise export earner. The stunning fact about this statistic is that all $1.8 billion in export earnings come from just one region, that is the Taranaki. The oil and gas industry has been a part of life in the Taranaki region for decades. But outside of Taranaki, although there were known oil reserves, most were thought to be too difficult and too costly to develop. However, exploration and production technologies have advanced and new and potential economic opportunities are opening up. The government believes now is the time to assess this new potential as well as continuing to work to maximise returns from the Taranaki Basin. For this reason, we've taken active steps to encourage prospecting and exploration. I imagine that is why many of you are here at this conference in New Zealand today. Given excellent prospects in other regions of New Zealand, we now have the opportunity to expand our oil and gas industry beyond Taranaki. In December 2012, 10 new exploration permits were awarded in Taranaki and the Pegasus and Canterbury basins. This year, in the 2013 block offer permitting round, the government will be offering further areas for exploration that show exciting potential for oil and for gas. You'll hear more about that when my colleague, the Minister for Energy and Resources, Simon Bridges, speaks to you this afternoon. New Zealand is a great place to invest and do business. Last year, our economy grew by 3%, which is one of the highest growth rates in the OECD. By global standards, we came through the global financial crisis in good shape. We are ready to do business with you. We are also at the business end of a number of changes to the regulatory environment for oil and gas development, and I'm sure Simon will spend some time in his speech running through those, but they include the following. New health and safety regulations for offshore oil and gas operations come into force on the 1st of June this year. A new environmental management regime for our exclusive economic zone will be introduced by June, and a new regime for the management of the Crown's mineral estate will be in place by mid-May. I'm pleased this conference gives you the opportunity to understand more about what all of these changes mean for you and for your operations. The government is serious about unlocking the potential of the oil and gas industry in New Zealand. We are putting in place a stable and world-class regulatory environment where responsible businesses will be able to operate efficiently and where we strongly encourage investment in our future. Our current oil and gas resource base is already a significant source of jobs, wealth, and competitive advantage. There is no doubt that without it, New Zealand would be experiencing much greater economic pressures in today's international climate. We know there may come a point when this industry could become a game changer for New Zealand. For example, if we were to increase our oil and gas exploration by 50% on current levels, there is the potential for New Zealand to earn royalties of $13 billion a year. We can, in turn, invest this money in our people through education and health services and in our infrastructure to make New Zealand more productive. The fact is that the type of society New Zealanders want to live in costs money. We believe that our oil and gas resources can provide constant benefit for future generations of Kiwis. This makes the next 5 years very important. There will be extensive exploration across many locations and diverse environments. At that point, we will have a much better idea of what we can expect and what it might mean. I'd like to turn briefly to the issue of energy security, which was again thrown into the spotlight as recently as last Friday with an unexpected jump in oil prices. That just goes to show that alongside the uncertain international security situation sits energy security. We know that an uninterrupted availability of energy at an affordable price is important for our economic stability and prosperity. New Zealand's own renewable energy resources of hydro, wind and geothermal play a very important role in energy security, but there is also a critical role for oil and gas empowering the economy. New Zealand has the ability to access a wide range of energy sources, and increased use of oil and gas resources will increase the level of interdependence New Zealand can exert on its own energy future. There is always risk in any business venture. Currently, many New Zealanders are only hearing of the potential risks that will come with increasing oil and gas development, especially the real and perceived environmental risks. Some would have us go as far as halting exploration entirely. We believe, however, that if we don't know what's there, how can we make informed decisions about the best way to manage the resources for future generations? Improvements in technology have seen advances in techniques to minimise risks. As I referred to earlier, we have also taken steps to establish a world-class regulatory environment on and offshore. This government is very clear that will not let cowboys operate here in New Zealand. As we've put new boundaries in place, I urge New Zealanders to think again about oil and gas exploration and, like the government, consider the lengths we're going to manage the opportunities we're facing rather than shying away from the risk entirely. Capabilities in the regional council sector and central regulatory agencies are growing with experience, and engagement with communities and other stakeholders is improving. There will always be a degree of risk, but I firmly believe that we can balance this with increased exploration of our abundant oil and gas resources. I expect the government's regulatory agencies to make use of the new regulations and legislation to be vigilant on New Zealanders' behalf. At the same time, I urge you in the industry to demonstrate you can and will operate responsibly and with respect for New Zealand's peoples and their values. New Zealanders will judge this industry on how each and every one of you performs. Ultimately, if we truly want to be a prosperous nation with a world-class environment, we need to grow our economy. Energy plays an important role in our national security. It powers the economic engine. Safety and responsibly developing our natural resources is an important part of the future of New Zealand. Today and in the future, I welcome an increase in exploration of New Zealand's abundant natural resources as a way to help New Zealand's future success, and I thank you for the role that you play in this. So I think you can see from my prepared remarks that as a government, we are very serious about wanting to increase oil and gas exploration in New Zealand. We are always conscious, as you expect us to be, of the environmental issues. New Zealand has a very pristine and beautiful natural environment. But we believe it is quite possible, and has been demonstrated in the Taranaki for a long period of time now, that New Zealand can have both an abundant resource and income stream from oil and gas exploration and other mineral development, while at the same time being good custodians of the environment. And my view is that the reason that this conference has attracted so many people is because you share our view that it's quite possible to have these two objectives attained at the same time. So we actively encourage you to have a good look at what's available in New Zealand, what's possible. If you have any concerns or queries, then David Smoles, NZP&M, can assist you with that. The Minister will be here, I think, for quite some time and can give you advice in that area. But in the end, you should feel welcome to be here at the conference and welcome to be in New Zealand if you come from overseas. We support what you're doing, and we want to see the oil and gas sector in New Zealand grow. As I've said so often, and you probably didn't catch it, but I was on Breakfast TV this morning talking about things like paid parental leave, where the government currently pays for 14 weeks and there's a desire to expand that. That's a very meritorious thing to do. New Zealanders want to have longer levels of paid parental leave, and I fully support that, but I support it at a time when we can afford it. And if we want to spend like a first world country, we have to earn like a first world country. And as part of that earning base, that comes from our vast and abundant mineral resources. So you're an important part of the future, both for New Zealand and for my government. So thanks very much for inviting me this morning.